Tell Annie M to little yeller out. Tell Tawny Tim I won't be coming home this Christmas. Tell Scarlett I do give a damn. Pardon me.
Okay, so Raised by Wolves is steamrolling ahead on HBO Max, and we're already at the 6th and 7th episode. Throughout this video, we're going to be breaking down the storyline of the show and giving our thoughts and theories on what could be going on. Obviously, there will be heavy spoilers here, so if you haven't had a chance to check out the entries yet, then I highly recommend that you turn off now. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for breakdowns of the full season, and please drop a thumbs up if you enjoy the video. With that out of the way, thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into Raised by Wolves. Okay, so I got a couple of comments last time saying not just to do a straightforward recap as it's boring, so we're going to be going through the main points of the episodes and sort of tying them all together, hopefully into one cohesive video that you guys bloody love. No promises though. Now we open with Mother recounting her memories with Campion, and the 6th entry centers around their relationship. It's clear that the pair loved one another, and if you watched our video last week, then you'll know we theorized that Campion was the mysterious figure that lived on the planet. Since dropping that breakdown, I've thought into it a lot deeper, and though I don't think it's Campion per se, I do believe that his consciousness has been transferred into a machine. We saw that he was able to program a lifelike baby, and if he can do this, it makes sense that he could also build a replacement body. We know that this figure doesn't move like a human, but it is indeed in human form. It's also able to trace tracking devices, and clearly it's been caring for Tally, so it is still in line with the mission that Mother has. Now, potentially Father, or Tally, has drawn an image of Mother and Campion kissing. Neither were there when this happened, but the fact that they've been able to replicate this shows that it's likely been told to them through Campion. Campion could have uploaded it to Father and wiped his memory, or what's more likely is that he told Tally, who then did it. Campion also exists in the simulation and says that he is many things, so there are hints towards it. Now I think that the character is there, just hanging back to not interfere, but he will be there should it come down to it. Either way, Mother sort of cheats on Father. Is it cheating? I don't know. And she spends a lot of time with him in the simulation, recalling her past and also fantasizing about their life together. This is sort of robbed from her in this entry, and I think out of the season so far, 6 is the best episode in the run. On the outskirts of the camp, we see as Marcus and the Mithraic stalk the location looking for an opening. Marcus and Sue debate over whether to tell Paul the truth about his parents, and you very much get the idea that there's this sort of surrogacy that exists on the planet. Both Mother and Father are of course not the parents of the children, but they're raising them, and this is of course mirrored in the Mithraic pair. I don't know why in fiction orphans are pretty much always used as main characters, but almost every big franchise that I can think of deals with at least one character that doesn't know their true parents. That's the sound of 100 movies being listed in the comment section. No, but when asked why so few Disney movies have mothers in them, Don Hahn, a producer of the studio, said, "One reason is it's practical because the movies are 80 to 90 minutes long, and Disney films are about growing up. They're about that day in your life when you have to accept responsibility. In shorthand, it's much quicker to have characters grow up when you bump up their parents. Bambi's mother gets killed, so he has to grow up. Belle only has a father, but he gets lost, so she has to step into that position, and it's very much story shorthand." I think this is also the case in Raised by Wolves, with the characters pretty much having to raise themselves as, let's face it, Mother and Father, though almost there, don't fully know what it means to be human. Mirroring this, the Mithraic are too far into their religion to properly raise the kids, I feel, and yeah, there is very much a feeling that they're gonna have to do it on their own. Now we learn that Tally has been entering the camp and leaving her dolls behind. Tempest is also haunted by what happened to her, but she promises that she won't end her or the baby's life. There's a discussion of dreams, and Tempest asks Mother if she has them. She denies it, but we know that the simulation in some ways has been providing a dreamlike world for her to escape to. It's almost like an addiction for her, and it ultimately leads to her downfall. Paul and Campion also start to move in opposite directions, and though initially it seems like they're happy to allow the other to have their own opinion, this ultimately turns out to cause divisions. It's rare that people can actually debate on certain aspects of life without things elevating, and the internet, Twitter especially, is a good example of that. Now Paul is clearly more adept to survive on the planet, as Campion won't make the tough choices and thus he lashes out at him. I want them to be brothers so much, but in the back of my mind the story of Romulus and Remus is always there, and we know that only goes one way, with the death of one of them by the other's hand. Paul embarrasses Campion by completing a puzzle faster than he did, and we see how fractured the latter's ego becomes. He was of course the top dog at the camp after being the only survivor, but he's slowly starting to see that he's not as special as he thinks. Now, to be fair to him, we did learn that when the kids were in hibernation, their minds continued whilst their bodies were frozen, and thus Paul is actually a lot older mentally than he appears. The Mithraic really step into their own under Marcus's rule, and we see how they operate after trimming the fat of the elders. They cunningly stalk Mother, and they must have been watching our video last week, because they take the plan of waiting until she's plugged in to strike. Hey, what a rascal that Marcus is. Now Campion and Mother get it on, and they're flying without wings, but she's sadly shot through the heart, and you're to blame because you give love a bad name. Now she sees a strange vision of the milk falling, which for her symbolizes death, and then a vast dark blanket comes over the planet. There's clearly something on the planet feeding people with visions, and throughout both entries it gets more and more prevalent. The show could be saying that something spiritual exists on Kepler, or perhaps everyone is a machine and they just don't know it. I doubt that's the case, but Marcus of course spent a long time in hibernation, and we also know that memories can be uploaded. Who knows, this might all just be one big simulation, and that's how reality is able to bend. It could be the food making people hallucinate, or perhaps even the planet's original inhabitants, but yeah, drop your theories below on what you think it is. Anyway, they fail to destroy Mother, and she transforms before unleashing hell. Marcus also refers to Sue as Mary, which was her original name, and this is a nice little nod to the last episode, as he refused to call her that, subtly showing that he was acknowledging their new lives over their old. The Mithraics storm the camp and badly damage Father, and I love that we finally got some more action in the series. The first episode had an absolutely stellar scene for its ending climax, and here it's just as tense. Mother arrives and saves Father, and I'm not gonna lie, it almost had me. I thought we were gonna lose him. Now, on the outskirts of the camp, Marcus comes across Sue and Paul, and he uses Paul as a tool to take Mother's eyes. Sue is clearly against this, and her motherly instinct kicks in, whereas I think Marcus comes to the realization that he isn't their son. Marcus axes Mother through the chest like Jack in The Shining did to Dick, and just as he's about to kill her, he hears an almost alien voice that tells him to stop. Marcus is slowly starting to interpret these as the voice of Sol, but if my theory is correct, this is Campion who's slowly manipulating everyone. We learn that Mother isn't breaking down at anything, even though it seems like she has been at points, and perhaps both the machines and humans are being placed on a path that will eventually make them realize that they have to coexist with one another. Whatever's going on in the shadows, I do feel like it's all coming together as part of a master plan. And yeah, lots of things could be going on. Now, Campion 2 is guided by a mysterious voice, and this could be the creator using technology to reach out to those on the planet, or it may be something more supernatural. The thing with Raised by Wolves is that there really are the two arguments of science versus religion going on, and even when watching the series, we as viewers have to question what's really happening. We still don't know for definite, but I loved seeing the strong atheist Marcus slowly start to question his beliefs. There's definitely an interconnecting tissue between the two sides, and we see a switch in him when he notices the scalpel from his dream in Mother's possession. Anyway, they take her captive, stringing her up in an almost crucifixion-like pose. Jesus was of course wrongly pinned to the cross, and he ended up going on to be humanity's saviour, so the show could potentially be setting this up as a plot motif in later episodes. Now, the snake skeleton also takes some focus through this episode. Though we haven't seen one of these creatures alive yet, Father did find some skin shed from one earlier in the season, and it is possible that they were behind the creation of the big pits on the planet. I would love to see one pop up and invade the camp, as in order to have shed so recently, they would have had to have been alive. Now, Mother reveals that she knows Marcus is not only an atheist, but that he's also going under a new identity. Mother of course mimicked his appearance in the first episode, and slightly that this scan showed her the surgical scars and tattoos that he had. She sees kinship between the pair, and we learn that this is why she spared him. Now in the camp, children become divided over whether to help Campion or not. The adults at the location state that he must be baptized as he's impure. They want him to conform, but most of the children already know that he's a good kid, and they class him as one of them. I think this really speaks to how prejudices are often passed on from adults to children, and if we have the wrong role models, then they can inflict people with several things that make them hate others for stupid reasons such as faith or race. Their faith is clearly being tested, and I think that many of the children actually prefer their life in the camp over what they had with the church. This is especially evident in Tempest, who, as we know, was subjected to abuse. The church want to basically reprogram Campion to fall in line with them, and this is mirrored in Father, who is completely changed personality wise. I do think the dad we know and love will come back, but there's a lot of avenues the show could go. Now another interesting aspect is that the Mithraic pretty much invade the camp and begin to build their own. I think this is a metaphor for Native Americans and the European invaders that travelled to the country and ousted the people that lived there. In the first episode, the narrator said that they were often referred to as pioneers, which is also something that the Europeans were referred to when they started to move across the country. I still believe that the radioactive food will be used as a weapon, similar to the blankets laced with smallpox, and there's definitely a lot going on. Now Campion almost gets baptized, but he is very much forced into it. In the ritual, he realizes that the headstones of his siblings have been used as furniture, and this makes him reject the Mithraic. We really see another side to them in the 7th episode, with the group referring to the atheists as soulless. However, Sue is clearly the only one with any morals, and we watch as Marcus slips deeper into the religion. I love their interactions, and we ultimately witness through Sue's eyes how power corrupts. Sue is of course an atheist herself, and she wants to save Campion and deliver him away from the church and the life that she's found herself trapped in. Sue suggests destroying Mother so that the Mithraic cannot reprogram her and use her as a weapon. Marcus takes Mother, who tries to snitch on him, but it falls on deaf ears. They take her into the woods, and there's actually a trail of milk left behind which allows Tempest to follow them. The creatures on the planet too appear, and I think they will probably pop up next time and try to invade the camp. Now Mother reaches out to Father and just change back, just please change back. Though it seems like he's not listening, he actually saves her life and leaves a rope which allows her to climb out. The real Father is likely still in there, and she was able to reach out to him, I think, appealing to his subconsciousness. Now Marcus also comes face to face with a vision of his old self, and he battles it out with him. We see that this actually isn't there, and it's all in his head. The older version wins, which also perhaps showcases that the character is wrestling with his identity. Again, I think that Campion is actually feeding everyone with visions in order to protect not only Mother, but also the children of the camp. Someone is likely spying on them, as Paul's mouse has also returned to him after falling down one of the pits. This is near to where Paul spotted Tally, so it could have been her who brought the mouse back, as we know she's been visiting the camp. Marcus returns all cut up from the battle with his self, and states that he is the child from the prophecy, which ends the episode. Now, is this the truth, or is it simply delusions of grandeur? Well, I'm still in two minds about it. I think that Marcus is slowly going off the deep end, and that he's started to believe that he's the one named in the prophecy that will start a new civilization. However, I still think that this could be false, and that we will see the character believing this actually lead to his downfall. There was of course the narration at the start of episode 1, which sounded like it was coming from a teenage boy, so I still think that Paul and Campion are the more likely options. Marcus is also slowly using Paul more and more, seeing him less as a person and more as a follower, which I don't think that someone would do if they were the chosen one. It just seems weird. We're also at episode 7 and there's still 3 entries left, so I do think there's enough time to do this and really pull the rug out from under his feet. This would crush him, and it would also allow there to be a misdirect to go back to the pretty obvious cliched thing. However, all that could still be wrong, and you know what, he might be the chosen one. I don't know. What I do know though is that the show doesn't ever really deal in complete absolutes, and I can even see it ending with us being able to interpret it as either confirming the religious aspects of the show or not. Perhaps it will end up with us making our own minds up on who the true one is, as it really could go either way. Who knows, maybe the planet just has a funny gas in its atmosphere that makes people hallucinate. I don't know, but what I would like to hear is your thoughts and theories, so make sure you comment below and let me know. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a thumbs up, and make sure you check out our breakdown of the other episodes in the series, which are going to be linked at the end. We're also giving away a free copy of the Christopher Nolan collection, and all you have to do to be in with the chance of winning is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. The winner is going to be chosen at random at the end of the month, so make sure you get involved. If you want to support the channel and get to see content early, then please consider clicking the join button below. You can also come chat us on a Discord server linked in the description, or Heavy Spoilers on Twitter. Thanks for making it until the end of the video. You've been the best, I've been Definition, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.